Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to have you here because today we are unpacking the hidden behind-the-scenes mechanics of hardware manufacturing. I mean, we literally look at gadgets all day long, right? Our phones, our earbuds, our smartwatches. But honestly, how often do we actually stop to think about the massive, incredibly complex global machinery it takes to make them? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain. So let's just dive right in and decode how modern electronics brands are actually built from the ground up.
Okay, I want you to picture this. Say you wake up tomorrow and decide, I'm going to start a headphone brand. How do you actually make the physical product? Seriously, think about it for a second. You've got a killer logo, a catchy name, maybe you even mapped out a really cool marketing campaign. But at the end of the day, you need physical headphones to put inside a box. So what do? Do you build a whole factory? Do you just buy an existing product and slap your logo on it? Or do you hire an army of engineers to design something totally from scratch? Look, this isn't just some fun hypothetical. This is the exact crossroads every single hardware founder faces on day one. It's the ultimate battle of speed versus exclusivity.
And that brings us right into Section 1, the hardware business dilemma. So when a founder decides to bring a new consumer electronics brand to market, they're immediately forced down one of two fundamentally different paths. And honestly, understanding these two paths is the absolute key to understanding the modern tech industry. On one side, you have the trading model. It is exactly what it sounds like. You essentially source existing off-the-shelf products that a factory is already churning out. Because the product is already done, your risk is way lower, and you can get to market incredibly fast. But it's basically a cookie-cutter approach. Literally anyone else can buy that exact same product. Then on the flip side, we have the private mold model. Now this requires custom injection molds to create physical hardware shapes that literally no one else on Earth has. It gives you absolute design control and true brand exclusivity. But, and it's a big but, it demands massive upfront investment, rigorous R&D, and a deeply complex supply chain. It is super high risk, but obviously incredibly high reward.
Which begs the question, right? If the trading model is so much faster and easier, how on earth do you successfully pull off the complex private mold route and actually build a lasting, unique brand? Well, it takes a very specific type of expertise. And to understand how a brand executes this high-stakes path in the real world, we're going to look at a really fascinating case study based on our source material today.
So, let's transition into Section 2, the OEM and ODM advantage.
To actually execute a custom hardware strategy, like to physically get custom molds made and integrate unique tech, you need some deep foundational knowledge of the international industry. To illustrate this, we're looking at Praveen Urmila. He's the founder and managing director of the Indian consumer electronics brand Klikk. Praveen's background is basically the perfect showcase of the invisible supply chain mechanics you need to launch a true custom hardware brand. But to really grasp his journey, we kind of need to decode the terminology that runs this whole industry. Let's start with OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturer. What does that actually mean for the private mold model? Basically, it means you, the brand, do the heavy lifting on research, you create the unique design, and you specify the exact materials. Then, the OEM is the factory that actually manufactures the parts based on those customized specs. They build your unique product. And Praveen spent years establishing vital business partnerships in this very specific sector.
And then you have the next level of supply chain complexity, which is ODM, Original Design Manufacturer. So while an OEM builds strictly to your exact spec, an ODM can actually step in to design and engineer the products based on your broader needs as a client. Navigating between OEMs for those highly custom private molds and ODMs for collaborative engineering, man, it is a highly specialized skill. It is definitely not something you just pick up overnight.
So how did Praveen actually acquire that skill? Well, the answer spans 20 different countries. Back in 2011, Praveen Urmila relocated to Hong Kong. And from that home base, he spent years coordinating with major mobile phone suppliers across 20 different nations. I mean, just imagine the sheer scale of that logistical coordination. By working directly with these massive international suppliers in both the OEM and ODM sectors, Praveen essentially built himself the exact blueprint required for complex custom hardware manufacturing.
Let's move right into our next section, building the Klikk brand.
This is where we get to see all that international supply chain mastery actually put into action. So looking at the timeline, it all kicks off in 2011 with that crucial move to Hong Kong. Then for 7 straight years, from 2011 to 2018, Praveen is just deeply embedded in global supply chains. He's coordinating with those major suppliers, really learning the intricate nuts and bolts mechanics of private molds and custom manufacturing. Then boom, we hit 2019. Praveen brings all that wealth of knowledge back to his home market. He returns to India and founds Klikk, which is operated by Klikk World PVT Limited out of New Delhi. And I think this timeline is absolutely crucial because it proves that a successful custom hardware brand, it is definitely not built in a day. It's a result of nearly a decade of rigorous behind-the-scenes prep and total industry immersion.
And that brings us to the strategic core of the brand, winning the youth demographic through deep R&D. See, because Praveen had that intense background in OEM and ODM partnerships, Klikk didn't have to just settle for the simple trading model. They didn't have to just buy off-the-shelf stuff and slap their name on it. Instead, they were able to rely heavily on deep research and development. By using that industry background to control both the design and the manufacturing process, they could actually engineer unique products specifically designed to capture that younger demographic.
So how does that high-investment private mold approach physically manifest in the real world? Well, Klikk focuses entirely on designing and retailing products that require pretty deep integration. We're talking wireless audio, your headphones, your earbuds, and wearable tech, specifically smartwatches and fitness trackers. Because they aren't just trading generic cookie-cutter goods, their R&D team can strictly focus on optimizing comfort, maximizing durability, and really pushing technological innovation tailored specifically for that youth market. The incredibly complex manufacturing blueprint Praveen learned back in Hong Kong is directly enabling this high-investment product lineup today in New Delhi.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. The next time you pick up your favorite gadget, I want you to take a really close look at it. Ask yourself, are the electronics sitting on your desk right now off-the-shelf trades, or are they exclusive private molds? Think about the literal journey that object took just to get into your hands. Was it a fast, cookie-cutter trade, or did it require years of R&D and complex global coordination like we saw today? Honestly, once you start thinking about it, it completely changes how you view the technology all around you. Thank you so much for joining me to demystify the hardware world today, and hey, keep exploring the incredible supply chains that are hiding right in plain sight.